go on the control.
Okay.
All good?
Go when you're ready.
Okay, so key switch is where we begin. We're in the off position, which is counterclockwise. Turn one click to the on position. Our gauge will start up, all our lights will come on. From there, we can go ahead and start the engine at any time. We don't need to wait for the gauge to start up. So we will just hold the key in the crank position. Only need to hold it for a moment because it'll automatically start from there. Once it's running, we can have a look at the control. It won't start. The engine won't start unless the control's in the neutral position. So if the engine won't crank, just ensure that this lever is locked into neutral. There are a couple of functions on this control handle. The trim up and down is operated with your thumb. Beneath that is the cruise control button. By pressing either up or down, you'll activate the speed control, and a message will come up on the Yamaha display that says speed control activated. Once you've done that, you can use the up and down button to fine tune the speed within a range of about 1000 RPM. If you need to adjust the speed by more than that, you will need to move the lever forward more and then readjust the speed again from there. The other button that we looked at was the neutral hold button. If we press this button, a light will come on and you'll be able to rev the engine without picking up a gear, and we use that potentially to charge up the batteries while we're sitting at anchor. That's pretty much everything we need to know about the control box. So we'll have a look at the Yamaha gauge. This is the main display, which has the trim gauge on the right. When the blue bars are full, the motor's at its full trim position. When it's flashing, it's in the over tilt position and should be lowered for operation. We have RPM times 100. There's an indicator for neutral, forward and reverse. We're also seeing litres used, fuel economy, flow, temperature, oil pressure and volts. Speed at the top. A quick reference of your fuel gauge. If you want a more accurate percentage, press and hold on that and your percentage will come up here. That's all we'll look at there for now. If we swipe across, the first thing we see is the trip log. Now if we can't see that, it may just be off page and we just need to swipe down. If we tap on trip, we can see litres used, distance travelled and trip hours. If we press reset all, yes, everything will go to 0 except for the total engine running hours. If at any time you want to see accumulated hours on the engine, we swipe to the right, we tap on trip, and total hours is the hours accumulated from new. So we'll go back again. While we're looking here, you can see steering friction. A tap will adjust it from regular to heavy. Trim assist we're not using, and speed control we make sure that we're set to RPM and not to GPS. So RPM is the preferred setting for that one. Okay, turning the sim rack back on now, but while we sort of wait for that to happen, autopilot control panel. When underway, pressing the heading hold button will make the boat simply keep the same bearing. Influences of tide or wind may still, push us sideways a little bit. If we don't want that to happen, we use course hold. Course hold will compensate for other prevailing conditions, and it will hold the boat on a rum line or literally on a path. So you go in a straight line. To adjust the heading of the boat in either heading hold or course hold, a tap of the left or right button will adjust course by 1 degree, and a long tap will adjust by 5 degrees. If you begin a navigation on your Simrad and you want the Yamaha autopilot to follow that navigation, we simply press track point and the Yamaha will drive whatever course you've plotted on the Simrad. Lastly, we'll have a look at the joystick down here. The most basic mode is joystick mode. If we press this button, joystick mode is activated and we can move the boat forward, and we can steer at the same time by twisting the knob. Can be a bit of fun, but not really the most used feature. The most used features are drift point and fish point. Fish point is the most popular one. Fish point is the one that will spot lock the boat, and when we press that button it will hold station. Best to have the boat sitting in the conditions that the weather are pushing you, if that makes sense, and then when you press fish point it'll already be orientated correctly. There's two modes to fish point. If we look up at the gauge here for a second, if we press mode, we can have fish point bow or fish point stern activated, and we prefer to run fish point stern. Pressing the mode button will get that out of our way as well. And the drift point button is usually on the joystick used in conjunction with the navigation, and that's to give you a controlled drift onto a particular point, and you want to try and drift roughly with the prevailing conditions, but the Helm Master will help you drift in a nice straight line and run that reef line that you want to run along. I think we'll leave it at there for the moment. I'll kill